Good morning, class. Today we do the theory of everything. So very quickly, I will explain to you what science tells us about where we came from, who we are, and where we're going. So, as you may know, it all started with a Big Bang. Okay? The Big Bang. So, in the beginning, there was a massive ball of energy, and then it exploded. Okay? And because of this explosion, it would create stars and planets and black holes and solar systems. And that's how the universe was created, through the Big Bang. Then we had the Earth, and on Earth, life evolved, starting with plants and sea life, and then we had lizards, mammals, and then we got to humans. Okay, so evolution. The thing about evolution that's very important to understand is that it's all about mutation. So the genes will randomly mutate, and then those genes that are best adapted to the environment will survive. Okay? And this is the idea of the survival of the fittest, introduced to us by Charles Darwin. Okay? And that's how we came to dominate the planet, because we are the fittest, because we're able to work together, because we had language, which allows us to store knowledge and pass it on to future generations, to accumulate new technology. Okay? So that's the theory of evolution. Now we get to the human mind. Right? The human mind is unique in the universe. It allows us to communicate with each other. It allows us to imagine things. It allows us to be creative. And so neuroscience teaches us that our brains, our brains do is we filter experiences into memories. Now, if you take in psychology, you will know that there's long-term memory and short-term memory. Short-term memory is just what you have today. Long-term memory is what stays in you, okay? So what the brain does is that it differentiates between short-term and long-term. And then this long-term is stored into a database of memories. And it's divided according to your emotions, okay? Happy, sad, angry, scared. Okay, so there's a rainbow of emotions, and all your memories are stored according to the different emotions inside your brain, the database of your brain. And from this, you're able to create an identity. Identity is basically an understanding of who you are, your place in the world, and how you should best navigate the world. Okay? So the idea of identity. Now, what you also learn in psychology is it is possible for you to create many different identities. So in a school, you're a student. At home, you're a child. At work, you're an employee. Okay? And all these identities put together is called a worldview. And you can understand this as your personality. All right, so this is all that science knows. I mean, this is pretty simple, but this is what science tells us about where we came from, who we are, where we're going. Now, there are three distinct characteristics about the scientific worldview that's very important for us to understand, okay? The first is that this is all random. Okay? This is really important because before we understood this as design, okay? Before we believed that there was a God, Now we believe there's no God. All this is just random. That's the first thing I need you guys to remember. Second thing I need you guys to remember is that it's all material. Before, we understood the universe as spirit, mainly spirit, but now we understood it as mainly material. Things that we can see and touch. If we cannot see it, if we cannot touch it, if we cannot measure it, it does not exist. The third characteristic is that it is emergent. Emergent, which just basically means bottom up. You have like these particles, they become atoms, then the atoms become matter, then become stuff, and then we become chairs or people, okay? So it's all emergent. And so these are the three major principles of our worldview today. And you should have learned most of this in science class. Okay? Now, there's a problem with all these theories. All right, so I'm going to go over them one by one. And I want to make sure you follow along, okay? Because what I will do now is I will show you the problems, the deficiencies, the flaws in all these theories. Okay, so let's start with the Big Bang. Now, if it is true that the universe started off with a Big Bang and it just expands slowly, then it should expand linearly, okay? But what we see is this. First of all, the universe, it expands weirdly, okay? It's more like this. So as it expands, different parts move faster than other parts. That makes no sense. Also, certain galaxies, okay, galaxies, move faster than other galaxies. This makes no sense either. So, the way that astronomers have explained away these statistical problems is to introduce a new concept called dark energy. And dark energy is most of the universe. It's like at least 80%. Some scientists believe it is 90%. So most of the universe is composed of dark energy. And of course you're like, what is dark energy? And the answer is, we don't know. Now, dark energy sounds like we don't see it. That's not what it is. It's we don't know what it is. And quite honestly, it's cheating, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's just say you take a math test and the teacher asks you 1987 plus 25, and your answer is 20, okay? That's obviously wrong, right? So your teacher says, this is wrong. And then you say, oh, I know how to fix this. Plus dark energy. Problem solved. Okay? This is like literally what cosmologists are doing with dark energy. We don't know what it is, but they say it must be there because otherwise we cannot explain these statistical inconsistencies in our measurements and modeling. And then of course you're like, well, why don't you just say that the Big Bang Theory is wrong? And they're like, well, we could say that. The problem is we don't have a better model. Well, in fact, there is a better model. The better model is there are different Big Bangs. Okay? So if you just assume that there are different Big Bangs, well, this helps us understand what's going on better. But then the question then is, wait a minute, if there are multiple Big Bangs, why are there multiple Big Bangs? Okay? So our current system of understanding the universe simply does not work. And the problem is that it's become a paradigm, a story that is accepted by most scientists, and they refuse to budge on this issue. Okay? But I'm telling you right now that this system is clearly problematic, and it could be wrong. Okay, so that's a problem with the